try and stand on the side so that the projector is not in my face.
And we can record you as well.
But you can see me in the thing,
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
Okay, cool. So, good evening, everyone. It's such an honor for me to be here this evening. And I have to say thank you to Raj for inviting me here. This is like my dream come true to come back to my university and share what I have learned since JCU. And I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my story, what I have been doing over the last few years, and even before JCU as well. So, but before I start, I wanted to say a few things. You know, I've been speaking, I will introduce a little bit about myself as well, but I've been speaking to hundreds of people in workshops and seminars and conferences or small groups. But sometimes I see that one person, not all the time, luckily, but sometimes I see that one person who would, at the end of the talk, 90 minutes, the whole day, half day, 2 days talk, and say that I didn't get anything out of it, right? And then I said, well, for you to be sitting there the whole day or half day or an hour and not to get anything at all, you must have been working really hard not to get anything. So one thing that I realize is that if you've been to all these kind of talks quite a few times before, or if even this topic is your personal interest, you would have, when I start talking about or sharing about certain things, and I have to say I'm not a guru or an expert, I'm just here to share what I know. You might feel that I've heard of it, and then you can just switch off. But all I wanted to say was that if you could have a child's mind, have that willingness and curiosity and just openness to listen to what I have to say here today. And because I can tell you that, you know, for some of you, or maybe if it is for all of you, that would be great. This information that I'm going to be sharing today can change your life. And it's not just some airy-fairy fluff that I'm talking about. I have seen that transformation so many times. I've spoken to thousands of people. So this will help you, and this is my passion. And like Raj says, I didn't get paid for this, and that's one of the things that I want to talk about. You know, what is your purpose? When you do something that aligns to your purpose, when you do something that you love, you can get out of bed every morning. You don't need the alarm clock, or you don't need to snooze it. Like, you would do it for free. And when you do something for free because it's your passion, that's it. So that's what I'm doing here today. And hopefully I can help you find your purpose of passion if you haven't found one yet. So before I start, I want to ask, who are the right-brainers here? Right-brainers? Yes? The gentleman in gray, was it? I'm not sure. Or you are a right-brainer? Who else?
Just refresh our switch.
I'll come to that, yes. So who are the left-brainers? Which one do you think you are? Neither. Does anybody know the difference between the right brain and the left brain?
Logical and artistic and the whole brain.
Yes. So the right brain is the creative part of the brain, and the left brain is the analytical. In another way, what they also call is that the masculine brain and the feminine brain. So now that you know a little bit about what it is, which one do you think you are? The right brainers? And the left brainers?
I'm sitting in the middle.
You're sitting in the middle. Yeah. Well, there's we tend to be more dominant in one side of the brain. Like, I tend to think that I'm balanced, but I'm more on the right brain, meaning I'm more of like the go, go, go person. But I will touch more on it in a bit when we go through the slides, when we go deeper into the presentation. But the reason why I start with the right brain and the left brain is because it's so important for us to understand that. Now, today we're talking about the heart of personal leadership, right? And so whether you're here because you're curious, whether you're here because something in the flyer or, I don't know, the email that you got, there's something interesting for you, or maybe you're just bored and don't have anything to do after work, you're just here, whatever it is, all of us have something that we want to attract in our life or create in our life. It could be money, it could be the relationship of your dreams, it could be the career advancement, it could be a transition from 9 to 5 to entrepreneurship, whatever it is, or you just want to have like success in your life. Whatever it is, it all starts with one thing, and it starts with us. It starts with the self, and it starts with the personal leadership. I'm so passionate to talk about personal leadership because whether you're a manager, whether you're leading a team, leading a family, leading your friends, leading the people in your community, if you can't lead yourself, then you won't be able to lead effectively or as a whole person. Now, you will see that there's a lot of imbalance happening in the world today if you look at political system, educational system, health, or even employee engagement, whichever you think, there's a massive imbalance. There's a lot of this feminine, masculine imbalance. But today, I just wanted to focus on the self because that's the key to make a change. Because once we change and once we make an impact in ourselves, that will radiate out into the world automatically. So, so before that, what we're going to be talking about today is I'm going to be sharing a little bit about my story. I'm also going to share with you the 3-steps approach how you can tap into your personal leadership. I simplified it so that it's just not too woo-woo, airy-fairy stuff. It's something that you can implement today. And towards the end, if you have any question at all, I'm happy to do a Q&A as well. So is it okay if I share with you my journey, a little bit about what I do? Cool? All right. So as I mentioned before, since JCU, I've come a long way, and today what I do, my business is,
Sorry, Lily.
okay. So I have a location-free business. I have a location-free business, meaning that when I started my business, I knew exactly how I wanted to live my life. And that's something, and after working with hundreds of people, that's something that I'm seeing a lot, is that a lot of people don't question themselves, what kind of lifestyle? And I'm not saying lifestyle as in like yachts and boats and nice houses and stuff like that. I'm talking about what kind of a life do you want to live? So I've seen a lot of people who quit 9 to 5 because they don't want to work for somebody else, and they start their own business and they become their own employee, and they take themselves out of this 9 to 5 situation, and this is just another 9 to 5 situation in their business because they didn't have the clarity. But I had that clarity because I knew that if I were to start a business, it has to be something that supports my purpose. So I'm extremely particular about not being confined in an office. So for me, as long as there's a laptop and internet, I can be anywhere. That's why I can be in Singapore and I can still work and my business doesn't stop. Now I work with clients from all over the world. I have clients in Singapore, Burma, because I'm originally from Burma, and in Asia, Australia, UK, US. So literally I can just work with anyone because of the way I have set up my business. And it all started with clarity. Now another thing is that I'm doing what I love, and hence I'm here today. And I want to help you as well if there's, a little bit of doubt. Am I happy where I am today? And I'm not saying, one thing that I have been warned by so many people when I give these kind of talks is that you go into companies and you give these talks and people are going to quit soon. And that's not my intention at all. But of course, if I can help you find what lights you up, what lights up that fire in your belly, then I'm all for that. And and I'm speaking literally everywhere and on various stages internationally to thousands of people. And the most important thing that I want to talk about today is that the reason why I'm able to do what I do, share my message, is because I do everything from my heart. Now we talked about the right brain and the left brain. And so as you can see, that's the theme of today's talk. And the title itself is The Heart of Personal Leadership. So it's all about coming from the heart. Now in the corporate world, once you start talking about the heart or love, it's just not, it's just not the right place to talk about it at all. But when I say love, it's not about romantic love. It's about this pureness from your heart. And I'll give you scientific facts why it's so important to lead from the heart. Now, everything that I'm teaching today, and what I do is that I help people break through that self-imposed barriers, those invisible barriers that they have, so that they can really get connected with their heart And if they are wanting to start a business as a coach or a speaker, then now, because they have broken through or peeled back all those layers, we're like onions. If anybody doesn't get what I'm saying, or if you think she's becoming really weird, I don't know what she's talking about, please just put your hand up and stop me, because otherwise I'll just assume that I'm doing a great job here. So, I forgot what I was saying.
Onion.
Yes, onion. So, yes, so everything that I'm teaching and sharing today, it's not just what I have learned from a book from Kinokuniya, or just, listen to one podcast or went to a seminar and just sharing. I have learned, to me, life is about learning, and I'm a student, and I have sat in your seats so many times, and I'm actually going to be in one of your seats this Saturday, and I do this all the time because, to me, I am a synthesizer. Meaning I have invested in my education, and my education didn't stop after JCU. Although after MBA, I said that I am never studying ever again. I did say that. However, I realized that I need a different type of education. And I invest 90% of my income in my education. And this time, how I invest in myself is I work with world-renowned mentors and coaches, and I'm going to show you in a bit. And everything that I'm sharing is not from some book. It's from myself, implementing it myself, helping my clients, and also learning from them. And I synthesize all that information and I share it in a very simple bite-sized chunk so that it's easier for you to relate to, and it's easier for you to take it and implement it if it's something that you resonate with. So if you look here, that's Dr. Joe Dispenza. He is a neuroscientist. He's one of my mentors. And that's Greg Braden. He's a geoscientist, and he's also one of my mentors. And the thing about both of them is that they are very much science-based, but they believe in spirituality. Now, when I say spirituality, it's not about religion. It's about self, connecting to yourself. And if you've heard of it, today we're talking about mindfulness and all that kind of stuff a lot. And it's really about the spirituality side of things, nothing related to religion. Now, they are very well known for connecting science and spirituality, and I'm so proud to have them as my mentors. That's Marianne Williamson. She is also one of the spiritual teachers. Now, that's JT Fox with Richard Branson. He is world's #1 wealth coach. He helps me with my business. And that is Dr. John DeMartini. He specializes in human behaviors. Now, these people, they travel all around the world, and I have been investing a lot of my hard-earned money with them because, one, to me, life is all about growth. Because as long as I'm learning, then I can synthesize this information and share it in places like this. And that's what I do in all over the world as a speaker, sharing, coaching, teaching, and I just absolutely love it. But my life hasn't always been this way, and sometimes people, when they see me like this, they just think that, oh, Arabelle, you're just like speaking and looking nice and that's all you do. But no, for me, I had to hustle to be here. I had to work really hard to be here. I had to work on myself day and night, and it's just like working out in a gym. You can't just go to gym once and say that I'm healthy for the rest of my life. It's the same thing as working on yourself. It's an ongoing work. It's just like you meditating once and say that I'm enlightened. It doesn't work like that. The more you meditate, the more you get closer to enlightenment, but then you can get obstacles along the way as well. Yeah? So my life hasn't always been like this, and I had this epiphany. It was about 3 years after JCU, sitting on a beach. For me, I'm a big nature lover. Sometimes I would sit on the beach for hours like I have nothing else to do. Sometimes I would sit under the tree, and just to be out in nature helps me reflect, ponder life, everything that I've learned. And all my life, to me, success was about career advancement, making a lot of money, fitting in the society, showing things that I own, all the material possessions, degrees and all that kind of stuff. To me, that was important, and that's pretty much what I did. However, during that 10 years span, I went through a series of accidents, major accidents, and I kept ending up in emergency ward. And it's almost as if I was gonna get freaking flyer to emergency ward. And at that point, I really got this light bulb moment of what was going on with my life. And to me, a lot of people around me looked at it as if I was unlucky, right? All these bad things are happening to me one after another. I mean, I'm talking about having accidents like once a year kind of thing. So, but to me, that was a way of life telling me that something wasn't right. And that was the light bulb moment that I had, is that I wasn't living my life in alignment to my purpose. And it was giving me the spirit in me was knocking, saying, hey, wake up. You're doing something wrong. You're not on the right path. And so that was the time when I realized that I needed to make a massive change in my life. Who knows about intuition? Who has ever had that little voice in you that tells you whether you're right, you're wrong, you're doing something that goes against your own values, but everybody else is telling you something else? Like, it's the noise around you. We have noise around us all the time. But who has ever experienced that little voice within you that tells you something? Cool. Yes? Yes? So we call that intuition. We call that gut feeling. We call that higher self. We call that God, universe, whatever you want to call it. But that little voice, that intuition, right? And all my life, that's what I have been doing. Listening to the noises outside of me, because that's how we're trained. We are trained to listen to the noise outside of us and not listen to the voice within us. And that voice within us will always lead us to the right path. And that point, on that beach in Australia, has beautiful beaches, right? And at that point, I heard that voice, and I needed to make a change, and I did it. So I was still in the 9 to 5, but I started training myself, and eventually I asked myself, if today was my last day, if I were lying on my deathbed, what would I regret? If you ask that question, they've actually done that experiment before, and nobody has ever said that. I regret I didn't buy that car. Nobody says that. Well, what do they say? I regret I never followed my passion. I regret I went after money, but never really made my dreams come true. And I don't want to be that person. So I decided to become, I asked myself, okay, so what would be the thing that would make me feel that I'm living my life in alignment with my purpose? I didn't know what my purpose was. I mean, my gut knew, but I didn't really know how to articulate it. But I knew that it has to be something that has to do with work with a lot of people. And so this is something that I want you to think about as well. What is something that people come to you for? Not about work. Like for me, ever since young, people come to me for advice. Not that I know more than them, but for some reason they think I know more than them. They come to me they come and confide me about things that they never tell anybody. Their darkest, deepest secrets. For some reason, they trust me. And so I realized that, okay, there's something about me that can help people, but I don't know what it was. I didn't know what it was. So think about it in your case. What do people come to you for? You have that natural gift. Everybody has that. For example, my dad. If something breaks in the house, I would run to him. He's very handy. That's his gift. He can fix literally anything. Now, when I don't do this anymore, but before, if I have to present at school or at work, I would run to my mom because she's very good with structuring words and language. She's very good at that. So all of us have that's something that we're really good at, our gift. So think about what it is that has nothing to do with work. And so for me, it was about working with people. So I thought, okay, so what would be the shortcut, like the fastest way for me to get out of 9 to 5? And at that time, I also realized that, my values, I love nature, right? And then my career was really advancing, and I was in all the companies that I work for, they're either investment banking or oil and gas or mining companies. Goes way against my values. And the last company that I worked for, it was one of the biggest mining companies in Australia. And then to me, it was as if I'm a hypocrite. So I decided to leave the job after I'd done my training, and I became a clinical psychotherapist. So I started helping and working with people on so many areas like addictions, mindset, self-esteem, all these different areas. So I started out that way, but my business evolved because the thing was, I didn't know where the path was leading me, but I went anyway. Does it make sense? I didn't know where everything was leading me, but I went anyway because I trusted in my gut. And so a lot of us are scared of taking a path that is unknown for us, that we can't see in front of us. However, the moment you start walking a path that is not laid out in front of you, that's when all the doors open for you without you even realizing it. So what I did was, I jumped a puddle. So I want to tell you about this story. Like, when I was young in our neighborhood, there wasn't even like paved roads or anything. It was, when it rains, it was all mud, right? And when it rains, what do kids do? They run out and they jump in a puddle. And that's what I used to do. And when I did that, all the kids in the neighborhood would come out at the same time as well. But what do adults do? The moms would come out. Why are you jumping in the puddle? You're all dirty. I just washed that clothes. Why are you doing that? And they just start screaming, right? They complain. And then this mom would go to the other house and then complain the other mom for taking their daughters out. And that's all adults do. We complain. But for children, we just have this curiosity. We just want to have fun, and we don't think and we don't analyze. What do? We stayed in our heart. As kids, we never really think, do I need to wash this clothes again? Right? So, and also, as I mentioned before, I also got really clear on what it is that I need to do. And the first step is I got clear on what is it that I'm bad at. So for example, I'm quite bad in the kitchen, right? So I mean, I can cook, but then I'm not that great. However, when it comes to sharing my message, speaking, I'm pretty good at that. So then I know, but I didn't know what I could do. And the same thing, like what else am I good at? Like I'm bad at following instructions from my bosses, right? But what am I good at? I'm good at leading. I'm good at creating visions. I'm good at creating strategies. So then just start from very general, and then I start getting more detailed. And that's how I got clarity, right? So, and then from then on, I started investing and working with all these people. And then that's how I was able to come up with this 3-step approach to really simplify it so that I understand first how it all works, because different people teach different things differently. But I thought, okay, cool. So I'm just gonna make it all simple so that I understand first and then I can teach others. So this is the 3-steps approach that I'm gonna be sharing with you today. That there will be, I hope that everything in all 3 steps, they are relevant to you so that you can take away and implement if that's what you want to do. Of course, I can't force you to change anything if you don't see a need to change. But if you feel that there's something in your life that's lacking, there's something in your life that you want to improve, then this will be helpful to you. Who's with me so far? Who finds this interesting, or is like, Okay, cool. Yes? All right. So let's go into this. The left brain and the right brain. It's something that I like to talk about all the time. Like I had one of my events in Perth just recently, and we talked about the left brain and the right brain. But depending on the crowd, you know about yin yang, right? Does everybody know about yin yang? Yeah. So yin yang is about basically this balance, right? So the left brain and the right brain is the law of duality. When everything is in balance, then everything works great. So that's why as employees, what do we say a lot? We need work-life balance. We talk about that a lot, but it seems like a lot of us don't have that, and I'm going to talk about it as well. 90%, 80% of people don't have work-life balance. And we tend to blame on the company, and it could be about the company as well, but we can change from within. Now, I did this in one of my events in Burma that I did back in May. Yeah, we expected about 50 people to show up, and combined we had about 400 people showed up. It was a massive success. And so after Singapore, I'm actually touring to 3 other countries, 3 other places, and so the whole year we'll be like traveling around, doing and sharing this work. Now, this thing about the left brain and the right brain, we talked about it a little bit earlier. It's about the creative side of brain and the analytical side of brain. It's the yin and the yang. And also, it's the masculine side and the feminine side. Now, if you look at the world, I mentioned this earlier before, there's a lot of imbalance happening. And even if we just look at the employee engagement or productivity, there's a lot of imbalance happening, right? Now, Einstein said that we can't solve the problems with the same consciousness that we used when we created them. What does that mean? That means that we need a new way of doing things, a new way of thinking, and a new way of behaving. So that's why there are many of us who are out there sharing this message in different ways, but all trying to go to this direction. We need a new way. We need people to wake up. Because whatever that we have right now is not working. And we can't just wait for the top to come up with a new way to change. It now starts with individuals. It now starts with personal leadership. So that all of us individually, collectively, can change on a personal level. And when these little pockets of people, when we combine, it becomes this collective massive change that is going to impact in the world. And I truly believe that. And you can see the conviction in my voice that I believe that. And I am seeing that. Okay? Now, we have heard that 40 is the age that we have midlife crisis, right? So that's the time when somebody suddenly starts buying sports cars, or started selling things, or getting divorced, or I don't know, whatever happens in midlife crisis, it happens at 40. That's what we're saying, right? And what also happens at 40 is that everything that we worked so hard for, the values and the priorities we had that really drove us to be where we are today, you don't have to be 40 right now, but this is the general belief, it becomes irrelevant for them at 40. Because they start questioning things like, what is my purpose? Which is what I asked myself on that beach that day. What is my purpose? Now, this is something I want you to write it down and ask yourself at home in your own time. Why are you here? Not in this room, not in JCU. Why are you here on this earth? Think about it. Why are you here? Because that's the question that a lot of people are asking. That's the question that a lot of people have very vague answer. Why are you here? Because we don't want to wait till 40 to have the midlife crisis and figure out what we are here to do, right? Now the scary thing is this. Oh yeah, so at 40 we start to also feel that life isn't about having all those material possessions anymore. But see, the thing is that I had that before 40. How old am I, Raj? I'm at 32, right? So I had the midlife crisis about 5 years ago. So that's where I'm leading at. Now, one of the quotes that I love is that too many people are buying things that they can't afford to impress the people that they don't like. And that's what Will Smith says. It's one of my all-time favorite quotes, right? And that's what everybody seems to be doing. But here's the scary thing. This is the age of not midlife crisis, it's quarter life crisis. Everybody's going through that right now, even at the age of 20. There's bills to pay, there's responsibilities, there's job, there's panic, there's anxiety, there's degrees to complete, there's career to think about, maybe there's marriage and home and mortgage and everything, right? All the responsibilities are on us. That's what's happening right now in the world today. We're having quarter life crisis. So, James Flynn, if I'm not wrong, that's his name. He's the author of the book, Are We Getting Any Smarter? It was published in Cambridge University Press in 2012. That today, on an average, a person's IQ is about, as you can see, 131, right? That IQ back in 1935 was the top 2%. So are we getting smarter? What does it mean? That IQ on average that we have today was the top 2% back in 1935. That means we're evolving fast, really fast. We're evolving at a rate that we have never seen before. And that's why if you have ever heard about it, people are saying that there's a shift happening in the world. And I'm not talking about the woo-woo 2012 doomsday kind of shift, right? I'm talking about this new conscious leadership, this new way of doing, new way of living, this new law and order happening. And I'm not talking about the political system, on individual level, on consciousness level, which is, it starts from the mindset, it starts from the brain, it starts from the belief system. It's happening now. So, does anybody follow me so far?
Yeah.
Yes? Yes? Okay. So, 19th century was the end of slavery. That's the facts. Now, 20th century was the end of colonization. Now, we're in the 21st century, and this is the time that we all create that conscious leadership, that personal leadership, that we tap into that inner genius that we have. And although whatever that I'm saying right now sounds so big or sounds so confusing or sounds completely irrelevant for you, but I'm going to break it down in a bit into something very simple. Now, if you look at that number, that 80, that's the number of employees on a global scale that are not happy. That's the employee engagement that we're talking about. 80% of employees globally, they're not happy in their job. They're not happy in their job mainly because they are not doing what they love, or they don't know what their purpose is. And some of them, most of them feel, 80% feel that the company that they work for don't care about them. And because of that, they don't care about the company. So what happens? Stress levels are the highest right now, right? People are unhappy, people are complaining all the time. And then when they go home, what happens? They infect that negative state of mind to their families, friends, and that's happening all over the world. And that's why it's so important that we don't wait for the company, we don't wait for the government, we don't wait for anything, but it starts with us and taking those simple approach so that we just live a very positive, happy life individually. So this is a little diagram that says that, you know, when you're doing what you love, basically it's like recycling your energy. You don't run out of energy. So that's why there are days I can go to bed around 3 and get back up around 5 and just do this work, right? So that's because you get that energy just from nowhere because you're doing what you love. However, when you're doing a job, when you're just after money, this is what happens. You have to put your effort and energy all the time that you deplete. You get depleted. And that's why we're all waiting for that sick leave, or we're all waiting for that holiday, right? We just don't want to be at work. So then, what can we change, right? So the question is, we still need to work for companies, we still need to support our families, we still need to put food on the table, we still have our aims and ambitions to climb up that career ladder. So what can we do? For us not to just keep putting out our effort, but so that we can recycle, so that we can feel like we can live our purpose and earn a living. And that's what this 3 steps approach is about. Okay, so before I go into that, I want to ask a question to a few of you. Who knows what your purpose is? Yes?
I think I know.
Okay, please go first.
Resolution. I resolve people's issue.
Yeah.
Be it my family, my kids, my business partners, and my customers. So I'm in the business of resolving people's issue.
Okay.
Including my own.
Yeah. So what do you get when you can resolve other people's issues?
Happiness. It seems a bit convoluted. Sometimes I get into very weird things.
Yeah.
To resolve other people's issue, but the end point is that it doesn't pay me extra, but it's beyond the pay. But the point is that it's I term it as goodwill being involved to be professionally or beyond that. I just get a deep sense of satisfaction.
Yeah.
So that's what I get out.
There you go. Yeah. That's what we're after eventually, that emotion. At the end of the day, what we're after is that emotion, that feeling that gives us that sense of the fullness. So you said, what is your purpose?
My purpose is to raise two intelligent, moral, good living, healthy, balanced children.
Yeah. Okay. And what do you get out of it as a mom?
A sense of purpose,
Exactly.
reward,
Yeah. Yeah.
satisfaction.
Satisfaction. There you go. That's what you said as well. So when we are doing something that we're not satisfied, that's when we complain. Yeah. But when we are doing something that gives us that sense of satisfaction and fulfillment, and we can just go on and on and on without really thinking about us, right?
Mind you, it doesn't pay the bills.
Exactly.
Still have to go to work.
That's what one of my clients said the other day, that I should start charging my son. I said, maybe
Yeah.
you should. Yeah. Who else? One more. Yes.
Well, I mean, to me, it's to be the best person that I can. Like Sharon's views. I mean, when you have a family, you become very invested in raising someone to be the best they can. To a certain extent, live vicariously through your children because you want them to achieve things you didn't do.
Yeah.
And I think ultimately, for me, it's being the best person I can, and I do counselling as well, so it's helping others to be the best people I can.
Yeah.
So I get a great deal of satisfaction out of that. And what's my purpose? It's evolving. I mean, life is a journey, isn't it?
Yes.
So my purpose today may be different tomorrow.
Exactly.
So I'm quite happy to accept that change.
Yeah. And I say that our purpose is really the most, like, our values at that phase in our life. And like you said, yeah, the values evolve. The values are basically just what's the most important for us right now. So maybe, when you're in 20, maybe your top value is about making money. And then that's okay, as long as you know what it, but when it's money that we're after, it's really never about money. Because money gives us choices, right? And it's about that happiness, that choices that or the trip that we want to take our family to, seeing that face, that gives us that sense of satisfaction or fulfillment. So it's never about money. So yeah, you're right. So, does anybody else want to share? Can I put you on the spot, Raj?
I can share.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, I think I can make the world so much more equal. For example, by I think there is like 3 ways to do it. It's like being a politician, non-profit, or going to business. Business is the fastest way to drive people out of poverty. And I think that if you can use economics, money streams to choose investment, maybe you can help a lot of people.
Yeah. So your purpose
That is the purpose.
Yeah.
Because Norway is the most equal country in the world.
Yeah.
And I want to see, like other countries, become just as have the same opportunities.
Yeah. And what do you get out of it?
Maybe justice, maybe fairness. For everyone.
Justice?
Yeah, that's
fairness?
what I want. Equality. I want people to have the same opportunities.
How does it make you feel when people get that justice and equality?
It makes me feel really good.
Yeah.
It does. Yeah.
So that's one of the things that I want to highlight. Thank you so much. Is that there are a lot of us want to do charity, right? But as human beings, it always comes back to us. It always comes back to us, that feeling of what do we get out of it. It doesn't necessarily have to be money. Maybe it's that just feeling of fulfillment, that feeling of satisfaction. That's what drives us. So when we have that clarity, then it's easier for us to walk that path. You with me so far? Cool. So let me take you through the 3 steps approach, and it's very simple. So basically what it's called is that stepping in, stepping up, and stepping out. So what stepping in is stepping into ourselves. Stepping up is getting clarity and really taking that action and executing, and so that we can step up as a person, right? And stepping out is once we've done that internal work. You can call it mindset work, you can call it counseling, you can call it personal development, you can call it soul searching, you can call it self-development, however you want to term it. Once we step into ourselves, once we step up, then we can step out as this new person. So in another word, it's really about identifying, becoming aware of what are the stuff that we have, taking action, and then manifest is really about creating results, right? So let me take you through each step, what they involve. So stepping in, the simple way to get clarity is for us to just ask this question: how are you showing up every day? Because I believe, and I have been doing this with so many people, how you show up in one area of your life is the same as how you show up most of the time in many other areas of your life. So I'll give you a very simple example. Like when I do workshops like this, I see people come in, and I'm noticing the way they walk in, right? And some people, they would walk in with their head held high, that they're very confident, and they're very comfortable in their own skin, and they want to be noticed as well. Or some people, what they do is that they would just go to the back and hide behind the table because they don't want to be seen. And they are the subconscious communication that they're doing about their self-esteem as well. I mean, I'm talking in a very general sense. So when we become aware of how we're showing up every day, then we'll realize that how we handle one thing in this area is normally how we handle other things in other areas. So the next question is, how do you respond to crisis, right? Crisis doesn't have to be massive, major things. It can be a heartbreak. Well, a heartbreak can be a massive crisis, or it can be losing a job, going bankrupt. But in those situations, this is the question that I ask all the time. If it were a test, because I believe that life is testing us all the time, because you've heard of this, life is a university, right? We're always getting tested. Life is, everything that happens in our life is a performance review. And when we work for our companies, we get the performance review of every quarter, every year or so. But in life, we get this performance review every single day. It's giving us feedback. So when we are in crisis, how do we respond to it? How do we handle that? Because if you take everything that happens in our life as a feedback mechanism, then we learn more about ourselves. And it's not rocket science. It's very simple. And if you've heard about mindfulness, mindfulness is not about rocket science. It's very simple, right? It's just becoming really focusing on your breath so that you become aware of your thoughts. Because that's when everything changes. So it's the same thing here. So just becoming really aware of what your reactions are, because I'm sure you've heard of this. We have thoughts. Thoughts creates our emotions. Emotions create our behaviors. So once we start becoming aware of how we're showing up every day, how we're responding to things, then we start to see the patterns that we have. You with me so far? Yes? Cool. So if it were a test, how would you respond to it? Because most of the time we tend to look at things as if life is happening to us. But what if life is happening for us, so that we can really learn from it and become aware of our own patterns? So it's the first step, stepping in, is very simple. It's just about becoming aware of our own thoughts and life patterns and limiting beliefs. Does anybody know what a limiting belief is?
You can't do math. That you can't do math.
Yeah, exactly. So limiting belief is, a belief is just a thought that you keep thinking about. So we all have limiting belief, exactly, right? For me, I can never skate. Like, that's my limiting belief, but of course I'm sure if I learn how to skate, then I will. But I just keep telling myself that I can never escape. That's a simple one. Maybe some of you really love singing, but you will keep telling yourself that I can never sing. Somebody's laughing in the back, right? So limiting beliefs are just beliefs or thoughts that we keep thinking that it becomes a belief that we operate on. I have met so many clients where just a simple comment that they had when they were in school by the teacher that you will never draw well. It's just a comment. But as a child, we take it on, it becomes a program in our mind, it becomes our belief, and then as we get older, we just blindly believe that we will never draw well. Now this is a very simple example, but there are so many things that apply to us. So there you go. I can do math.
I
can do math.
People always say that they can't, but you know,
Yeah.
they should give it a try.
Exactly, right? So that's the thing. Very simple. So ask yourself, what are the things that you think you can't do? Right? What are the things that you said you can't do? Really, nothing is impossible. This is a cheesy line that I love. When you say it's impossible, it really means you're saying I'm possible. Impossible, I'm possible, right? So, but really nothing is impossible. So when you are saying to yourself that I can't do this, I can't take that job, I can't have this relationship, I can't make this money, I can't buy that house, I can't move to that country, I can't make that impact, or whatever it is, just become aware, because that's a limiting belief. And I can bet you that's a limiting belief, because you can do absolutely anything. Yeah? So stepping in is just very simple, becoming aware of your own thoughts, and the thoughts that you keep thinking that becomes your belief, and how are you acting out, which becomes your behavior in your life. Okay?
So you can conquer your cooking.
I can actually cook. I just don't like cooking. Yeah. So because I don't like cooking, I literally gave away all the ingredients in the kitchen. So right now I only have salt and pepper and olive oil. Yeah. But I make fried eggs. Or asparagus and carrots.
She can boil water.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I want to share with you some real life stories as well, so that it makes more sense. So this is one of my clients, Jenny, but for confidential reasons, as you know, I can't show, although I want to show you her photo, I can't, so let's just call her Jenny. So what she said is, you know, to say lost for not knowing where my life was going at the age of 50 is an understatement. It took hard work, commitment, willingness, but if I could do it in 3 months, so can you too. So basically she's like giving a pep talk to other people as well. So at 50 she came to me, and what she was feeling was she had everything. She's a grandmother of 4 beautiful grandchildren. She has 3 daughters. Her husband is very well off. So basically like she has nothing to worry about in her life, right? And normally when people work with me, they would either most of them do installment plans. And when she came to me, she said, nope, I'm gonna pay everything lump sum. So meaning she has the money, right? So it's as if she has nothing to worry about. But she couldn't tell anyone that as a grandmother and as a mother, she was feeling lost at the age of 50. And what she has felt, this is her words. What she said was, I did what everyone expected me to do. Is that I raised my children, I took care of my husband, I put my needs in the back. Sure, we have a happy home, but she's not happy inside. So I said, Jenny, so what are you gonna do? You can't turn back time? And what do you think you can do right now? And she said, how the hell do I know, Arabelle? That's why I'm here with you, right? But that's what I'm saying. That there are so many things that we can't control. You have heard about this so many times, but we still keep on doing that. We can't control the weather, we can't control the government to a certain extent, but we can control how we respond to things. Because the meaning that we give to our experiences, whether it's good or bad, or you know, the accidents that I had, some people thought it was bad luck, I was unlucky. To me, it was just, you know, a way of life telling me that I wasn't living my path or purpose. So all these things, the meanings, good or bad, are just the meanings that we give to our experiences. So then the one thing that we can change is that how we respond to things, how we attach meaning to our experiences. So for Jenny at 50, she could choose, because she chose to feel that she was lost, she wasn't happy, she was never important. That's how she really felt. But then she also has a choice to feel a different way, right? So, and I said, so how is the whole situation serving you? So we did the whole thing. But what did we do? Basically, this is what we did. She stepped in. Simple thing, she became aware of her own thoughts and limiting patterns and beliefs. And she got clear, and of course where she is today now is completely different from where she was before. And that simple thing, if she can do it, so you can do. I'm giving you a pep talk as well. Right? Now the second thing, this slide is very important because I really want to explain it to you, and I think you will be very interested in this. Now, stepping up is, as I mentioned before, it's about once we become aware of us, aware of ourselves, aware of our own patterns, and limiting beliefs and thoughts and actions and behaviors. The second thing is, okay, so what do we need to do next? Remember I said earlier about the heart and the head. So how many brains do you think we have in our body?
Many, because I think there's a lot of evidence to say now that our body itself reinforces things that happen in it.
Okay, maybe you know this stuff, so maybe you don't say it either. I'm joking. So you're right, yes. And you know, we tend to believe that we only have one brain, which is in our head, but it's not true. Our heart also has the, I don't know how to explain it in medical way, but our heart also has a structure of a brain. Our heart can hold memory, it remembers things. It is the brain itself. In fact, we say that we have three brains, which is the brain in our head, the brain in our heart, and the brain in our stomach, the gut brain, right? Because the stomach also has its own structure to remember and respond to things. That's why sometimes, I'm not gonna go into the stomach, but so for the heart, why is it important? This, if I have the machine right now, I will put the machine on you so that you can see. Remember I talked about the thoughts, becoming aware of our thoughts, right? Our thoughts and behaviors and emotions. Because whenever we think a certain thought, and when that creates an emotion, whether it's anger or sadness or disbelief or thinking that, what the hell is she talking about? Whatever it is, that emotion that it's creating, the heart produces frequency, okay? And that frequency is what we call in layman term vibe. That's why when we walk into a room, or when we're in a room, somebody walks in and suddenly we feel like, I don't know about this guy, but I just don't like the vibe from this guy. Like he's not good. Or I like this guy so much, or something about him just lights me up, right? And that vibe is basically that frequency that is emitted from the heart, and that is science. So when we are feeling certain emotions, we are in certain frequencies, and that's what this diagram is showing. So if you look at the diagram, it's called consciousness map, and the lowest or the bottom of the cone is basically the lowest vibration, meaning you can see the labels there, shame, guilt, all this kind of emotions, they are the lowest frequency. Now the reason why I'm going through this is because our hearts emit frequency, we're like walking walkie-talkies. We're always tuning into other radio frequencies. That's why we can feel each other. And the electromagnetic wave that's emitted from the heart, we can feel it from like 10 meters or 20 meters away. Are you with me so far? Yeah?
Yes.
Okay, so because of that, because we're always tuning into other frequencies, when we are in, let's just say, negative state of mind, we bring our frequency down to a very low vibration. So imagine what we're going to tune into, other low vibrations. Does it make sense? Yes? So then that's why it's important for us. It's not just about the positive thinking and positivity and not just that, but it's really about creating that kind of frequency, changing our emotions from within by stepping in first so that we can start to cultivate that high vibration. Because when your vibration becomes higher, that's when you're going to start to tune into other high vibrations. Who has heard of, let's just use money as an example because it's something that's common for everyone, right? So everybody needs money to make a living. So who has heard of money is energy? Has anybody heard of that? No? Money is energy?
Wall Street.
No, it's different. So nobody's heard of money is energy. Okay, cool. So what about, has anybody have heard of happiness is energy? Cool. So it's the same thing. Money is also energy because
That doesn't make money equal happiness.
hmm?
That doesn't make money equal happiness either, does it?
That doesn't make,
Money equal happiness.
no.
Sorry, I was just
Money just gives you
extrapolating
choices,
that.
yes, yes. So what I'm trying to say about money is just energy is because everything in the world is energy, right? We are energy beings. And this, again, this is not some airy-fairy stuff. So when we raise our energy, we're gonna start to tune into other energies that are of the same level. So when we can get rid of our old limiting beliefs or patterns that hold us back, let's just call negative thoughts. When we can get rid of the negative thoughts that we have, then we can tap into the positive thoughts or the positive side of things, which becomes automatically health, wealth. Has anybody have heard of health is energy? No? Okay, cool. No, this is good because this is the one area that I want to share with everyone is because, you know, one thing that people say is the physical illnesses, diseases that we have is the physical manifestation of our energy. Again, this is science. And this may be new for you, but it is true. Because when we are in a certain type of emotion, okay, this is the simple one. What happens when you get stressed? You get a headache, right? That's the physical manifestation of your internal state. So it's the same thing for other things as well. So that's why it's extremely important for us to be able to raise our vibration by first becoming aware of it so that we can start creating that health, wealth, whatever it is that we want to create in our life. Does it make sense? Yeah? Everybody's awfully quiet.
Okay.
Are you falling asleep or are you not following or?
We are with you.
Okay, cool. Now, so the third one is about stepping out. Now, this is, again, if whatever that I was saying sounds, yeah.
I just had a fast question for like the one that you just showed.
Yeah.
Is it more like externally or internally, like that decides it on where you are? Like where can you do like the most work?
Where can I do?
Yeah, what is affecting it the most? Is it externally or internally?
It is both externally and internally.
But what is the, I get that, what is like the power dynamics of it? Is it like 50-50 or like 80-20 or?
Well, if I say that whatever that we have within us will be the holographic reflection in our reality.
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know how to say it in the numbers, but I would say it's 100% because whatever it is within us, it will manifest physically,
Yeah.
both good in a good way and in a bad way, which is diseases. And the reality that we create outside of us is also what we are thinking and feeling and behaving. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I think maybe we will get into it, like how can you feel the joy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's probably what you're going to talk about now.
Yes, the
Yeah,
third one.
exactly,
Yeah.
That's great.
Cool.
Thank you.
So the third one and the last one is about stepping out, right? So again, whatever that I'm sharing here today could be a bit too out there and too strange and weird for you, but if you find it interesting, I would suggest you to do more research about it because this is the new way of doing things, thinking about things, behaving. This is a new way, and this is based on scientific facts. So if you resonate with that, I would suggest you do research more about it. Now the last one is stepping out, and I said manifest, right? And manifest is really just about creating results, and which is what you asked and what I have been saying all along is about what you have within you has to be aligned so that you can create that reality. Now, what does that mean? It sounds too abstract. So I want to ask, who wants to make a lot of money? Yeah?
No one.
So those who didn't raise their hand don't want to make a lot of money? Okay. So those who raised their hand, who wants to make a lot of money? Are you making a lot of money right now? So what's holding you back? Like, what's in the way of doing that?
Yeah, just need some time.
Just need some time. Okay, cool. No, that's good. Who wants to be really happy? Like, happy all the time? Perfect. Yeah, most of the time, right?
Yeah.
Realistically. What?
She's got a solution here.
Yeah? What is it?
Alcohol.
I feel all the time about the assistance of alcohol.
So, okay, cool. So, we want to be happy most of the time, realistically. But are we happy most of the time? Those who raise your hand. Are you? Most of the time? Yeah? So, so let's say, okay, if you have 10 days, how many days do you want to be happy? 9 days? 10 days?
10 days.
10 days, right? Okay, so are you happy all 10 days? From morning until night? No. Okay, so this is just a very simple example of what I'm trying to say is that there are things that we want to create. There are thoughts, there are dreams, there are passions, or there are ideas of what our purpose could be like. But then most of us are not living that yet because we need some time, or we need to do something more. There's always something before we can create that. So then, what we think we want, or what we think who we are, or what we think we are here to do within, it's not really happening in our reality. Does it make sense? So then, that means that we are not in alignment. So when we're not in alignment, that's when we're not seeing the results. Again, it could be health, it could be wealth, it could be family, it could be relationship, it could be career advancement. I've heard of so many people who said they want to be managers, but they're still not managers till today. What's happening, right? So because they're not in alignment. So then that's when we do the number one, which is becoming just doing simple things about becoming really aware of our thoughts, limiting beliefs. And that's the whole thing about mindfulness meditation. I'm not saying you have to do it, but that's one of the things that's really popular today, and it's such a simple thing but so powerful, right? Just becoming aware. And the second thing is about once you're aware, what can you do so that you can step up? What can you do so that you can raise your vibration in your heart? So that you can start creating the reality that you want to create. So now the third one is once you have done all 3 steps, then you are going to be able to create the results in your life. Again, it could be as simple as buying your first car, or having that retirement, I don't know, yacht or what, boat, car, I don't know, whatever. So those are the 3 steps that seem so simple, but it's a daily practice, just like I said earlier, about just like working out. We can't just go to a gym once and say that we're healthy forever. It's a daily practice. It's a daily reminder that we have to do if that's what we want to do, of course. Yes? So these are the things that I'm going to be sharing in a more detail. I'm actually coming back, like Raj said earlier, I'm coming back here to do my own event on Sunday, on the 4th, this Sunday, and we're going to be diving deeper into this topic and there will be other speakers as well. And so you're welcome to come. It's a free event. If you're ever interested, that's the link, Wisdom and Miracle. That's another company that I have started for events only. Or if you want to get in touch with me, there's an email, support@arabelle.com, and feel free to get in touch with me, or my website is there. And if you find this stuff useful, and if you find that it's just too weird, but I'm interested, come along on the 4th. It will be good. So now if you have any question or anything at all, I'm happy to answer. Otherwise, thank you so much.